It's Montel Jordan inside the happy hour. It's Birmingham's best mix of R&B. We are hot. 1077, yours truly, Sly King with you. And during a time that we are all facing, it's great when you have amazing leadership in your city. And I'm honored to have our very own Mayor Randall Woodfin with me to talk about what the city has been doing, what we're continuing to see the city do as we move forward, because the real reality is, and I'm sure all of us understand, we are truly all in this together. And that's how we're going to get through this. And so I'm honored to have you on with me, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining me.
Sly, thanks for having me on, brother. Honored to be on, and I will tell you, I'm not sure at what point in America's history where we faced at the exact same time a health crisis and an economic crisis at the same time. And I give mad respect to our first responders as well as those in the medical profession. That include our doctors and nurses, the people on the front line who are literally saving lives.
And, you know, you're absolutely right about that. They are doing just an amazing job. And, you know, hats go off to them, and just continue to keep them lifted up in my prayers and just for all that they do. I want to thank you, too, because your leadership during this time has been absolutely, really remarkable and amazing. And it continues to show the fact that we have such an amazing person in office, and your team, the amazing job you guys are doing to keep us informed about everything that's happening. And I want to talk about just what that means for the city as it relates to keeping us informed, but also as we continue to work together to move forward. I watched the video that was about Birmingham Magic, and just amazing, just highlight of what this city is all about. And so how can we continue to work towards working together to move things forward?
I think the first thing I want your listeners to know is that there's a codependency here in the city of Birmingham, that we're all dependent on each other as a community. It's bigger than our individual neighborhood or our individual area. We're all in this together. And during a health crisis and an economic crisis, I think it's important for people to remember a couple things. The first thing is it relates to the COVID-19 coronavirus. We spent about 2.5 weeks making recommendations to people. So it was important to move to a shelter-in-place ordinance, because we had to go to enforcement, because we needed people in this community to take this seriously, because this is about saving lives. And many people have heard me say it, like, look, I'm the first that want to hug and shake hands and interact, physical contact with people as it relates to how we greet people. But if we have to slow down on that for a while, because we have 22% of Birmingham's population of people that are 60 years plus of age. We have a high population of people with these underlying health conditions. We are the wrong community where community spread needs to happen. So we have to take every precaution available to us, including enforcement, to make sure people are not spreading the coronavirus in Birmingham.
And, you know, that's so true and so important. And I'm glad you were able to really put that in position and perspective, because, you know, my concern has been, do people really take it seriously enough? You know, do we understand the impact? And I know at one time, you know, we did not have really any cases reported and all those things. And so as we began to see that take off, the numbers have risen. And it's important that we understand this is to protect all of us. And it may not be the most comfortable thing to do, you know, with what the work that, you know, I do and everybody else that enjoys being out and about. But you have to understand how important this really is, and taking that very seriously. And I want to mention something as well as it relates to some things the city is doing as we continue to work towards this. I know that there are additional testing centers that are now open in areas that I felt are very important to have them open. Now you have testing centers now in West End, Woodlawn, and also UAB, right?
That's correct, man. We want to make sure for those who can't get to certain sides of town based on limited transportation, that we can bring more testing options and availability to the people in the city.
And that's so great to be able to do that, because I know a lot of people were concerned, okay, are we going to be able to get testing where we are? Is that something that's going to be available? And the fact that you guys are doing that and made that available is so important. And the other thing, Mayor, as well, you discussed recently in a video that came out today about the CARES Act, and I know explaining that to people. And if you don't mind, just briefly sharing with people how important that is, especially for those residents in the city of Birmingham, and what that actually means for them.
Start with locally, we wanted to create a fund, BHAMstrong.com, BHAMstrong.com, to promote what we're doing locally to offset some of the hurt and bring relief to our local small business community. But then the federal government is doing its part too, and under the CARES Act, which is the coronavirus act at the federal level, they have something in there for everybody. Okay, they got it in there right now for small business owners, you get $10,000 off the top, no questions asked if you apply. There's then a competitive process where small business owners can support themselves with additional funding, up to for some businesses up to $250,000. In addition to that, there's a section in there that speaks to you can't evict people. Landlords can evict any tenants that deal with any federal subsidies. So think of anybody in public housing. Think of Section 8. Think of mortgages that relates to Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae, and anything of that nature. There's so many parts of this act. My commitment to you and your viewers, your listeners, is to break this down in plain language every day, a section that I believe helps people in Birmingham.
Thank you for doing that, and I think it's so important that you are breaking that down in that kind of manner and helping people understand that. It sometimes can be overwhelming for people to look through that and understand what it really means. And the fact that you're doing that and staying informed, keeping us abreast of what's happening, that's so important. I want to thank you for continuing to do that. We really appreciate your leadership during this time and look forward to the days coming where things begin to smooth themselves out. And that day is coming, but we have to, as you mentioned before, not only are we going to have to understand that this is a time that we have to work and, be in a position to help one another, but we've got to work together as we get through it. And so, Mayor Woodfin, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you, your leadership. And if we can do anything to help not only get the word out, but also just continue to support what you're doing in the city, we're here to do that.
Sly, anytime, man. Thank you for your leadership and being a voice for the people.
Absolutely, Mayor. Thank you so much. Mayor Randall Woodfin joining me inside the Happy Hour. Coming up on the other side, I got some more great music. 7:30, I got the Happy Hour double shot. It's hot. 107.7.